Yeah. Hermano.
Been in enough crap together.
In the trenches. Band of brothers.
So you want to just get started?
Sure.
We're a couple minutes early. We don't have to wait till.
We can start
wait till
anytime
3.
you want.
Okay. Hold on. Seb, are you ready to get started? Yeah. All right. Oh, you want to adjust the thing? Okay, we're not ready to get started. Hold on. Pete, welcome, Pete. Benoit Beauséjour. We usually take a bit longer. Last time we took 3 hours. The first time, the time before that, it was close to 3 hours. I feel like it was maybe 2.5 hours. Yeah. This time we're clocking in at about just ahead of time. We worked out. Benoit, as involved as he is with so many aspects of the game, still needs to be afforded the opportunity to check in with other directors and get updates on what they're doing and everything, so that we can provide you the most up-to-date and accurate information. So this will be a show that's less about taking. Oh, that wasn't in chat. I was just talking myself. No, that wasn't chat. Send a DM after the show. That's not appropriate. So we're going to start the show with updates to existing endeavors. So this is the third one of these we've done. We've talked about a couple of things. So I'm going to update on a few of these topics that we've been covering through this before the second section where we get into some new things that we haven't discussed. Cool. So let's start with the biggest one, which is server meshing.
Yeah.
We're now a year on. We talked about it ad nauseum leading up to this thing. Yeah. It's now been out a year. This is probably the last time we're going to talk about it for a while again, until Dynamic comes, and we're not going to put any dates on that. So let's put the story of server meshing. Let's put a button on the story of server meshing. Sure. And I'll break it down into 4 sections. How's it gone? How's this last year been?
Well, so like if I recap, like. Almost same date last year.
Almost, yeah.
Was when we actually launched 4.0 and server meshing actually went to the live environment. And so, yeah, it's kind of the 1-year anniversary of the tech being available for all players. It's been surprisingly solid. I like to say that this way because it's a very large system, but it has given us just good foundation for what we had to do last year in terms of the content drive that we've pushed forward, the performance improvements that we wanted to deploy. It was like we were expecting a lot more turbulence with the release of server meshing than we've had in a year. It's been a very, very stable system overall. And so I would say, like, if I look back at the year, obviously there's always problems, with new technologies, but the server meshing itself has been very, very, very solid for us.
Okay. So quite frankly,
I would say all the problems have been with
it began to get this
other things and how they work with server meshing.
That it was going to be this silver bullet. That it was going to be this one-stop fix that was going to fix so many issues. It didn't fix every issue in the world. It was never going to fix every issue. But I want to talk about what it has enabled for us in this last year. Yeah. So what are some of the benefits that we can draw a direct line from server meshing that we've experienced in the last year?
Well, like if you walk back to the Star Citizen experience before 4.0, so before server meshing got introduced, a server crashing, that was the end of your session, right? You would lose your ship, you would lose your cargo, everything would disappear. You'd have to reconnect, restart the client, start over, right? Anybody who's lived through the first years of development of the project know how intense this was, right? And so the first thing that server meshing brought us is server recovery. And so
server recovery was huge.
The fact that the replication is separated from the simulation, when a game server crashes, which is where most of the crash risk exists, the state of the replication is still good. So we just tell you, hey, we're getting another server, you stay there, and when it comes back, we can recover exactly where you were. You don't lose your ship, you don't lose your cargo, you don't lose your materials.
The state transfer on that works so well too.
Very, very big. It's a kind of the unsung hero feature of server meshing. It helps with engagement, playing longer sessions, finishing missions, and so for me that's like one of the big pluses that was
very
brought
exciting.
In server meshing. On top of that, and we did have some crash isolation, to be clear, in 3.24 and before, right? But what what server meshing really brings also on top of that is crash isolation. So if a server is in charge of the Crusader area and he's the one running into issues, then only that area is affected.
Is Benoit's volume
so the player
okay?
who's, bounty hunting in Pyro or something like that, he's completely safe from this crash. And that just, the perceived stability has increased a lot based on that. On top of all the work we've done to prevent servers from crashing in the first place, but just this whole setup has made the game a lot more stable in that sense. So that's just the kind of meat and potatoes of what meshing has brought us. But the key bit it brought us also is much larger player counts. And so we used to be limited to 100 players per server, which had the whole universe to simulate. Now we've got a series of servers simulating the universe. And so we oscillate between caps of 600, 700, 800. We're still experimenting going higher with this, depending on multiple factors that cap changes.
Crossfade sounds good.
But just the fact of having more players in the same shard means you can have an event where 200 people show up at one area. Surprisingly enough, we've also discovered things through this, that sometimes game servers actually perform better with more players in one area than one server simulating the whole universe would, because he has less entities streamed in, and now it's all about updating the components in that area. So we've seen certain events, because players always find a way to, organize something that should be a problem. But there was a 400-player party in one of the bars on New Babbage, and we looked at the server performance through that, and it was actually very, very decent. And so we expected a full meltdown, but it was actually good. And that enables that experience.
The old bar.
There's a million other problems to solve for this to be a really
basically
good
a mosh pit.
From a server meshing point of view, that was a big win.
You've got a 500-player meetup coming. I just saw something.
I know. It's like that becomes a kind of common thing, and we love it because that's exactly what the tech is meant to enable. And then obviously the two other things that meshing has brought us this year is 2 new solar systems.
Yep.
And so for years we had been stuck in Stanton, expanding the Stanton system, more POIs, more planets, more things, and now suddenly we were able to branch into Pyro, which was everybody at CIG.
I actually don't know how many servers they added for Nix. Does anybody know?
There was internal tension.
Did they add any?
At when are we going to launch this thing? I've been working on this for a long time.
Yep.
And so that was really a relief to be able to get, players to cross the jump gate. So the jump gate technology obviously comes with meshing. And so expanding into 2 systems in 1 year.
Being able to add Pyro in January. The tech preview was December the year before, but it went live in January, and then Nix goes live in November, same year. It's this, the most common question. We've been doing this for a long time now. Here, forget other places. We've been doing it just here for a long time. And one of the most common persistent questions is about the pace of development, and people have been waiting very long for certain things, justifiably so. And we've always maintained that its development kind of works on it builds. It builds and it builds, and you get more efficient after you build the tools, after you build the foundations. Stuff like this, it gets more efficient. You can do more later on. This year, because of server meshing, we were able to kick out 2-star systems, and we're still expanding.
This is so true.
Every patch this year will expand Nix even more. It's the one in March is looking
for evidence
to,
of this. Just look at
is looking to expand a bunch of the service stations and our
how
first,
fast Blizzard delivered content
which
in the
I'll go ahead
vanilla
and say
/
right
BC
now is
era
supposed to be Rock
compared to
Backer.
now.
If you watched what was it called? Citizen on Direct. Me and names. You can learn more about that, but we're currently working towards that as our March release, and then on, just continuing to build out Nix until I think in the Road to 1.0 presentation at CitizenCon 2 years ago, now, a year and a half ago, Rich Tywer acknowledged that Castra would be our next system whenever that comes online. So it's just this technology.
What does that mean? It's unlocked the capabilities to do what
we
you're
doing. We can actually, start to deliver so many of these things that we've been talking about
fix that.
working
Sorry.
behind the scenes. Instancing has some role in that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, completely. There's one more thing that server meshing brought us that's not negligible, is a very substantial gain of performance on the game server in general. So like 324 game servers were running, we had a very low bar for acceptance on FPS for game servers because we just had to deal with so much. Nowadays, like server FPS is magnitudes higher, so that it actually allowed some of the content we've already produced actually shine because it was working properly. And so that's because servers have less to simulate. We can optimize their workload. We've also reduced even, we talked about this before, but we've reduced the size of the game servers because they just have to simulate
Sorry
one
for it being
area.
so loud.
And so overall, the meshing has improved server performance by big magnitudes.
Good morning, computational.
Yes, Chet, no, my head is not smaller. My hair is just bigger. It was very windy and rainy today, and it's just whatever. No, I haven't had a dye job. It's grayer than it's ever been. No, we are not taking questions from chat, but I will comment on every one of you commenting on my appearance. So that's static server meshing. We know the next big stage of server meshing is dynamic. What can you tell us, if anything, about that?
Well, so the dynamism in the mesh, right? Dynamism, I guess.
Yeah.
So we're running out of words internally to define what the next step of server meshing is. Currently, we're working on quasi-dynamic server meshing, which is we're trying to iterate on the static mesh, right, to bring it so that if an area is empty, right, and nobody's there, we can spin down a server. And if people go to that area, we can spin up a server. To achieve all this, all of the mechanics required for a full dynamic mesh need to be there. So like mass authority transfer between servers, because when a server goes out and it has X amount of entities that it currently has authority over, it needs to give that to another one. And that, obviously, you don't want that process to lock up the parent server. So that whole mechanism is what we're working on at the moment. In fact, we've done over the break, the team has actually reached a milestone. We were able to run with our internal testers a test of quasi-dynamic server meshing internally. So that's good. I mean, it's the first test, so, it's a bit rough, but it basically requested, I think, 200 servers to run the mesh. That was a little bit of a bug. But yeah, our ops teams, Ahmed specifically, I got a call from Ahmed immediately. But anyway.
So you've been calling it quasi-dynamic, and I've been trying to workshop a new name for you, and I've just got a little bit of dynamism. But so you did your first test of this quasi-dynamic, like, hey, server, you try to determine how much you need, and the first thing it did was ask for 200 more servers?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
yeah. A little bug in the assignment system, but
that sounds like human nature.
Correct. So that's what we're working on right now. That's the next step.
Like some systems I've worked on.
The full dynamic mesh, right? Obviously, the goal with the dynamic mesh, just to recap it, is that instead of having a subdivision that we pre-make in advance, like currently, every patch we look at the territory assignment, is what we call it, of like what's coming, like, oh, we have an event at this place, and most players are going to go to this system, and so we adjust the mesh, right? And sometimes we get it wrong, and it's a very manually intensive process, and we don't want to keep doing that. So
yeah, exactly. Computational
mesh is to be able to just adapt to where the players are, the cost of the
same state transfer problem,
to be able
regardless
to
of
compute
how you're crossing servers.
So there's also the unfortunate cost equation in this, right? The current static mesh will always provision a server for every territory that's configured, and so there's a little bit of savings we can go and get there. But more importantly, the dynamic aspect of it is to be able to always make sure that the proper compute is available for players when they're in an area doing something, right? So that's the goal.
Chat's debating whether the servers have actually achieved AGI and have played the game, and they're just like we've played the game. Give me 200. So that's server meshing.
Yeah.
Last year was coined as the year of playability. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we've just backdoored a whole bunch of playability improvements that server meshing, which dropped last year, enabled. So we've had all of those improvements last year that made the game far more playable than it was in any previous year. But that phrase has been used, it's weaponized, it's thrown back every once in a while, every time somebody encounters any kind of bug whatsoever. So I want to talk, and that's not entirely unfairly, because everybody's bug that they're encountering is the most important bug in the universe at that given moment, and that one is not resolved because they're encountering it.
Right.
I want to talk a little bit more about what we did gain last year. So it's whether that's the transit system stuff, the 30Ks finally being killed, the creatures and boss fights and stuff. When you tell me, how did our year of playability go in your head?
Well, so I think that, obviously coming from the server meshing improvements, there was also some failings at the beginning of the year where we saw, transit became a very big problem. That's an example of a
Only
system.
because we tried to use it.
Yeah, well, yeah, or tried to serve you, but badly. But that's an example of a system that was built years ago that wasn't properly scaled over time. And so when you added dynamic gateways for the transit system plus the meshing situation, that became a really problematic system. And so that was, I think, the first order of business once we launched 4.0 was like, we need to really take action on transit. And so we talked about this last year, but we did create the Transit Heroes group, which was a coalition of volunteers.
Skiffle and Julie Rice, welcome. Thanks for coming out.
Voluntold, yes, exactly. To come and give
Talking about transit.
a bit of oversight on this, to look at the system to see, okay, what do we need to actually, have stable elevators and trains and, make sure that that's always available. Because the traversal of the game, if that doesn't work, then the game doesn't work at all, right? If you can't take an elevator to get out of the habs, then,
right.
You've got 20.
Good luck, right? So the Transit Heroes team, I think, has done a fantastic job. They haven't re-engineered the system in that strike team, but they really focused on self-healing strategies, right? If a manager loses a carriage for some reason, for any reason, well, just create another one and get this thing rolling, right?
I applied a while back too.
They couldn't fix, in this effort, they couldn't rebuild
and then I
the
found out they
system.
didn't do
There was
remote.
fundamental flaws in how it was engineered for server meshing support. And so, but at least they got it into working condition. So I do think, like, if you look at the game now, transit
Their
is no
infrastructure
longer
would be
the
pretty wild
big
to work on.
problem it used to be, right? Like, it actually functions when you need it. Now, that said,
most times
it fixes
Hey,
itself,
Lisa.
right? So
Well,
it's still
thanks for coming out.
getting in a weird state, but it fixes itself. So, we've done more about this, and we'll talk about it later.
we're building the transport system
Correct.
concurrently.
Yeah, absolutely.
So while this team is
The reason it would be wild to work on is because these people are actually innovating.
Transport system.
Right. So transport is basically the fix.
They're solving problems you don't solve many places.
Let's get to transport when we talk about what's fun.
Yeah.
So what else did we get last year?
There's not that many companies
I
working
got a list here that I
these
worked out
types
a
of
little bit
issues.
with Jens just to gather up, because the game is so big. So
I'm gonna limit you a little bit on this time. You've got.
okay,
I'm gonna give you 5 minutes.
sounds good.
I'm gonna give you 5 minutes.
I'm being time boxed.
because we do want to get to the new exciting hotness. And
I'll go
stuff.
first.
Hope you find one, Lysergic.
Okay.
I've been very
so
fortunate to be
we'll
working
talk about
remote for
30K protection.
over a
My clock.
decade now.
Okay,
Here we go. Sorry.
Go for it.
Go.
You should be a producer. Okay, 30K protection, transit improvements, right, to make it stable. A stable tech base for the content teams. What doesn't show is that to achieve the content we shipped in 25, we actually froze a lot of the technology to give the content teams a stable base to work off. Before, it was a bit more of a mayhem. So we did that.
Well, we got squat for features.
We, as we built all of this content last year, so a monthly patch was a very heavy cadence.
10 patches last year.
Yeah. I think that what's really cool is that we've built kind of a library of locations and events that if you start playing Star Citizen today, there's that to do, right? It's like that. We never had that before, like a real set of locations that have like a full-on, storyline to follow. So that's really cool. In these locations, we're able to ship some new creatures. So a lot of new creatures and boss fights. So we had the first couple boss fights this year, with Yormandi, Stormbreaker. So that's like a brand new, design discipline for us to design boss fights for multiplayer elements.
Boss fights are kind of meh to me, but
spawn
good point on
hangar,
the
something
new
that we've
player
actually been
experience.
able to
A
enable
new player
this
coming
time.
in right
So
now would have
we tried
a
to
huge
enable this
backlog
in
of content that
end of 24.
those
and
of
that
us
was
who've
a
been
bit of
here
a
for
disaster.
years
25 now, spawning
just kind of take for
there. So
granted.
if your anger is available, you spawn directly there. That's actually a very large quality of life improvement. I play the game a lot. It's, not having to go to the hubs is fantastic. We've been able to put weather in key locations, including some of those big hero locations we talked about. We're hoping to do more, but
Yeah,
for
you're not
now,
wrong,
actually is
Carter,
there. 2 new star systems, we talk about this. Jump gates, which is a whole
Integration of features this large is
a
no
game on its own.
small task.
The way it functions is actually super interesting. As you're going through, the zone is moving, and you're moving within the zone. It's really a fun system to go through. So that's in.
I love the jump gates.
We fixed the goddamn bounty beacons, which is one of the coolest loop in the game. I love it.
The GD bounty
that
beacon.
was obviously not working, so now we've actually got them to work again, which is a big win. Quantum interdiction was in the same bag, where now with a server mesh, having proper interdiction was kind of difficult, so restoring it was an interesting one. We had to actually build systems to allow that, because not every server has a view of the entire shard anymore, and so in order to interdict cross-server, you needed to have a special tech to do that. That fixed also quantum linking. Now, routing is still...
Yeah.
There's still issues, right? It's getting there, but at least there's been some quality of life improvements on that side that we've done this year. Freight elevator, ongoing.
We'll have a whole section on freight
Hard to believe
elevators.
freight
there's been
elevator
a
work
lot
is
of-
still
I mean,
ongoing.
Throughout the year, freight elevators have received tons
Morning,
of...
Ridley.
Compared to where they started
Yeah.
when we attempted
Thanks for coming
to
out.
Yes.
when we pushed them to the forefront for an event, and
Correct.
compared to where we started. But let's.
We talked about server FPS and stability from the meshing and the cleanup that we've put in place. Also, we've pushed at the middle of the year. It came for you guys at the end of the year, but actually we merged it at the middle of the year. But a whole new tech base, including at least a year of graphics update, including Vulkan, coming into the game now. That was what will allow us this year to do some pretty large changes as well. The first weaponized mech, so the Atlas ICT came in, so that's also a really big boost. We still don't know if it's a vehicle. John Crew and I have this.
I like how we
ongoing
called it
feud.
the first
He says it's
weaponized
not. I
mech.
say it is.
You're dipping into content here. I'm not going to let you count the. I'm not going to let
okay.
you count the ICT. That's content.
Ah, that's fine.
I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Although
this exists.
the jump jets were a feature, I suppose.
There you go.
The jump jets were
There
a
you go.
feature. So I'll give you half credit for the ICT.
Correct.
Jump
Thank
jets
you,
are
thank
badass.
you. I will take that. Comms notification got a big facelift. That's something that we want to use a lot more of, and so we needed the proper tech to be able to render that properly, and not just the quip lines, which you need more immersion than that. So that was actually a pretty big thing with facial animations and tracking, and so that's in there.
Elemental
And then
suits?
cross-shard progress for events. So.
What's that mean? Like
What
suits
powered
designed
a
for
lot of
working
the
in different
content this
environments?
year was a new service in the background of the game called the scenario service, which whether you're doing clean air or the resource drive last year, the cross shard progress of these events is tracked by the scenario system, and so that's how we were able to show tables about how many resource
drive
and resource drive, stuff like that. Exactly.
That's a pretty good list. You just got it says 502.
Yes.
Look at that.
On time.
And you didn't even mention like item recovery.
No, I did not.
Didn't mention item recovery.
Oh,
And there was one other
interesting.
that I had until I got distracted by my own
It's
clock.
all a blur.
I got distracted by my own clock. Basically, it's
Never played a lot of BattleTech.
it's hard. Let me think about how I want to say this. If you've been watching this show long enough, you know that I'm not above taking a section, in this case 5 minutes of the section, to basically go through some talking points that I want, that I think are important, that I think people want to hear. We have had things like the year of playability thrown back at us in comms, and when you see, I tune into a Twitch stream or YouTube stream, and and somebody gets a very a very frustrating experience. I was looking at an experience of somebody, just going to town with their Hull C, and they went through a jump point, and it took them trying to go to one system, it kicked them back out to the next system, and the thing crashed. And then they got back in, and the spindles they tried to open the spindles, but the spindles were closed, or looked closed, but they were actually open. So they were in the wrong state. Tried to get refueled, tried to go to refuel. The refuel thing wasn't working, and then stowed the ship and spawned the ship, and it didn't come back on the docking port. It came back in their hangar full of cargo, and it's like this. It's like, we acknowledge that. I'm sitting here saying we acknowledge those things. But there was so many massive improvements last year. You used an analogy last time we did with this about I think it was the big freight container.
That all sounds like
the big
BSync, which we still
Suez
see a
Canal
lot of.
shipping things, that you don't just turn the direction around. You don't just spin the wheel and suddenly you're facing a new direction. It takes time to move these things. And the efforts of your teams and the people under you, these strike teams, these hero teams as you call them, to turn this ship that we call the Persistent Universe around in the last year, has been phenomenal. If I'm allowed to have a personal opinion, being the shill for the company that I am, has been phenomenal. We haven't gotten everything. We still got another year. We still got another year. The work continues. But I want,
he just listed 3 years there.
Take 5 minutes to acknowledge the tremendous work of those teams, and a whole lot was accomplished last year. In addition to the amazing content work.
Is that a 2029 forecast? I
realized we actually had 11 because we kicked engineering out.
Yeah.
We kicked engineering out in December, so it was actually 11 patches. 11 patches in 12 months is pretty crazy. So you allow me to have a moment, to have some time to sit there and sing the praises of those people, because I've seen where we were, and I know where we are. And
Confirmed.
we're in a much better place now. Still,
It's just
back
the
to
beginning of the
still
term.
places to go.
Yes.
That scenario I just described was like last week, and we got still places to go.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean we don't acknowledge the progress we make.
I think it's a testament to kind of the systematic approach we've taken to solve some of these issues, instead of previously we used to just assign tickets to people and they would find the fastest way to solve it, and now we're kind of work as a team with the teams in quality assurance that are basically the arbinger, like, no, it's not fixed, I can still repro, right? And these guys have been going through a systematic approach for it. I think that's paid off a bit.
We get better.
Yeah.
Not always.
I'm the same way, Ridley.
We try. And
when I play,
in this case, we definitely
I can play for 8 hours straight.
There were some big changes to internal infrastructure and stuff in the last year.
If I get in there and
we're seeing the results of that stuff.
I'm getting a bunch of bull crap in the first hour.
Some specific updates here. So
I just log off. I'll come back later.
Transport system. We don't need to talk about transport.
I don't sit there and beat my head against
the
the wall.
transport system is what will one day replace this thing. I've heard talk about there being a tech preview of it soon. Talk to me about the transport system.
Well, so transit was problematic, wasn't designed for server meshing. And so transport is a complete rebuild of the transit system, but using more server meshing native approaches for how different pieces are going to manage elements that are streamed out and streamed in. We're also moving away from some previous misconceptions that were put into the transit system. For example, one of them was responsible for trains going into space. We don't want trains to go into space. So
you might not.
Yeah, well, I mean, unless we do a space elevator.
Astro train.
Yeah, Astro train would be great. So the state of transport, right? So at the end of last
I hate that car, bud.
Sorry, I'm going to pause. What's included in transport?
That's probably one of the more annoying things going on right now.
What are we talking about?
Elevators. Transit and transport manage elevators, in-ship elevators, trains, anything that has to move when you press a button and you call it. So it's a network of carriage, peripheral, and gateway. Okay. Right? So you take an elevator to go to your hangar, that's transit.
You take a tram. Anything that's automated. Anything that moves you, not under your control.
Right. And he's the one moving the carriages, right? So he needs to deal with carriages being streamed out, like prediction for that stuff. So so transport is a rebuild of the original transit, which has been, as we talked about, problematic. So the state on transport is at this point, we are, it's functional. So the team at the end of last year actually completed the first transport link, which was we tested this internally with our QA teams extensively at this point. All of the new Babbage HABs links. So we took one link in the universe, that one, and we tested the crap out of it. Right now, that's a static link. So it's going this. When I say static, it means the 2 points that the elevator goes to exist. Okay. They always exist. So we know that works. Then the state at the moment is we also support hangars. So these are dynamic gateways, because if you're online and you're at the location, your hangar is spawned there. That's a dynamic gateway. If you leave, that gateway disappears. So the system needs to deal with
that's an interesting distinction.
Gateways. The previous system
did not.
Kinda did. And the kinda bit was the piece that wasn't great. Okay. And so we've got internally at the moment new Babbage, we've got hangars and HABs. So the state of transport now is the team is working at converting all of Area 18. So we're talking HABs, hangars, transit trains, all of Area 18 to the transport system.
You can watch it back, Iggy.
So we're going to go to tech preview with that. That's our plan. And the reason why we need to go to tech preview is because we need players. We've tested this internally. We can't muster as much players as we want. So we're going to try to see if you guys want to come and help us out, test the new Babbage transit for real on a tech preview to validate all the assumptions that are in the system.
We do need music elevator or elevator music.
And ask people to just come and ride the elevators.
Correct.
Come and ride the trams.
And their hangars.
Yes. And hope nobody dies.
No trains in space. No.
We should have an elevator party. See how many of us we can get on one of them things.
That'd be great. No passing through the floors in the carriages.
See how many people we can knock out the side.
But incredibly important, because it's a tech preview that doesn't just affect Area 18. It's one that can literally affect quality of life in every single landing zone on board every single spaceship.
That has an elevator.
Ships that have elevators and stuff. Well, then space stations. It's going to be this little thing for Area 18, but it ripples out to everything.
Yeah. And so after a tech preview, if everything is validated, there's one thing too we want to try to avoid is the train prediction taking like you in 32 seconds to come in, where the train says train arrives in 1,060,000, which obviously we hope that.
I just thought it was a metaphor for the project.
I've never seen that one.
Am I allowed to say that?
At this point, you are. So after tech preview, we're gonna scale this out to every landing.
That'd be cool, Julio.
And we're going to see which patch this will load in. But at that point, we hope to bring transport in and completely deprecate the transit system.
Take care competition.
The game and nuke it from orbit.
Cool.
Yeah.
And that's next week.
We don't give dates. Best effort, but it's looking good. Like this tech preview is going to be where we're going to evaluate really like where we're at with scale, because the issues with transit typically come up with scale most of the time. Right?
Fair enough. I told you we get back to freight elevators.
Yeah.
I wonder when we get multiple
what can you tell me about
environments,
freight elevators?
We talked about that.
And what still needs to happen?
Sure. So the freight elevators are way more complicated than we can imagine because they get affected by other systems like hangars, like planetary locations. There's also multiple flavors of them, top loading, side loading, and they all operate very differently. So this year, we've had issues at the beginning of the year, clearly, with the freight elevators, like losing items, obstruction, blocking them from functioning.
You said the beginning of the year, but that really came to a head in July.
Where we had even an event that would rely on them, which was, in retrospect,
Well, we knew there was a collection of issues, but we also all of our data said they were only
localized.
Localized on this. It wasn't until we went to scale.
That's right.
That we realized, oh, this is actually even worse than we thought.
Right. It's also coupled to a couple of things, and for that event specifically, which was, we concentrated missions in key locations. That's one thing that has been in our discussions all year, was how we distribute missions, right? How we, if we launch a new mission tomorrow morning and we send everybody to the same spot, that is problematic, not just because it's not fun, because it's a traffic jam, but also it causes other issues. And so we learned a lot from that on the design side, I think, overall. But so freight elevators, though, so we're pretty happy with some of the core mechanics, but there's still very egregious issues that we're tracking. So there's roughly 73 total issues that we know about. 51 of those have been resolved. So I've asked one of our teams in our Nathaniel Fisher, resident expert in freight elevators, to track that. So the rest of these issues some of them are really problematic. One of them we actually discussed, you and I, just before the show, was how if you're turning in Wicklow items, you need to put them one by one.
Things in a box. You have to be able to put things in a box.
Correct. And so
oh my gosh,
you have
right?
to be able to put things in a box and have it suck up that box.
Yes.
I agree, 100%. And so that's going to be one of the first ones I think we need to look
That's
at.
so annoying.
The other one is a bit more problematic because we don't have a proper repro for, but sometimes there are lost items that fail if there's like a back-end slowdown when things get stowed. So we have a couple reports for this, not many, but the ones that we have are critical. And so, this is a kind of a rule we've set on the CGP team. So Jens and I are pushing this to everybody. It's like the golden rule for everything related to freight elevators or anything that touches inventory is a player should never lose an item interacting with these systems, right? We need trust in them 100%. And so that's why we're tracing on those issues. So there's still a lot more work required on freight elevators for different edge cases. A new one that we started
needs to be defended by
4.6,
transactions,
which seems affected by another change, but is sometimes like putting stuff on the elevator, not on the grid, will cause
eventually
it to disappear,
consistent will be fine.
which is
needs to be
kind
durable.
of a physics cleanup conflict. So I know we're looking into this right now because that's a big one. But and then everything that has to do with stacking. So having a stack in your inventory that you want to unstow onto the freight elevator, that mechanism from a backend perspective is actually a creation. I know that sounds weird, but you have a stack of 10, that's one item with a stack of 10. You may bring it's a creation of 9. So that bit is not stable right now. We're trying to improve that.
Iggy, when will any wall be physicalized?
It's hard because
I can go through a ship wall as easy as an elevator wall.
Is debating Wicklow at the moment, and
Why did I say his name?
if I say it 3 times, he shows up on the screen.
Yeah, seriously, Julio.
Not insignificant part of the dislike for Wicklow is directly related to that freight elevator. It's just there's no.
Nah, I just
We have a
dislike
section
Wicklow.
later on. We asked around. We'll get to it. But I'll give you a preview. But we started talking like what
Actually,
is,
probably
what
the
is
best part of
single
Wicklow is
greatest
it's
quality
causing them
quality
to
of
fix
life thing
elevators.
that we can do. And we asked. I went around and I asked a couple head honchos here around the company because I was curious. I did an interview before. Like what to you is the single biggest quality of life thing we could do? The single biggest. And on more than one occasion, shout out to Jens. I'm going to spoil it here. Not losing items.
Yeah.
Just not losing items. Just that seemingly simple, benign, innocent little thing. Like if everything else is important, everything else is super important, everything else is super necessary. It absolutely is. But God is my witness. If we can just make it so people don't lose their items, so
I agree.
Shout out to the heroes of the freight elevator hero squad. I thought it was Strike Squad, but you've rebranded it during this call as Hero Squad, and I like it.
Right.
So we'll do it, and everybody, the people on item recovery, the people in the new inventory, people who are working on the new inventory system right now. It's everybody working to fix that because that's just the single most demoralizing thing in the world to me.
Probably too soon to mention Ashes, but Ashes had the same problem with trading
V0 or V1 or whatever
transferring items getting lost.
T0. I'm hearing that there's a T1 on the horizon.
Correct.
Talk to me about it.
Well, so obviously Tier 0 was a fairly large change to the game, so that in the case where you die in the verse, instead of having to run a corpse run to recover your items,
we can't get away from Tier 0 fast enough.
This was mainly done to, we're in an alpha game, we needed to do some compromises, so we looked at that. So item imprint, there's multiple names for this at this point.
That's fair,
item
though.
imprint, item recovery, tier 1, entitlements 2.0. Those are all sort of related. So the gist of it is, and this ties into some other subjects, but is that currently when you play the game, right, and you look at your ASOP terminal, I think I've said that last time, but I'll still go through it again. When you look at your ASOP terminal, the list that you see there is the list of entitlements that you own, which ship that you own, you have a right to, right? Then that's cross-linked with the actual ship. Do you have it? This entitlement, let's say it's a Connie, what is it in the game, right? And where is it? And that's how the ASOP terminal shows you the list, right? So that's why you're able to have a row when there's no ship and it says retrieve or deliver, right? That creates the ship. Then deliver brings you the ship on the platform. Those entitlements currently, they don't live across patches. We recreate them. The first time you log in, there's a big process that reconciles your account, grabs your web purchases, grabs your LTP records, and recreates those entitlements. Obviously, long-term persistence has always been it's a difficult problem to solve. It sounds simple, but it is not, I assure you. But in order to facilitate all this and also other item recovery needs, we've decided to basically persist those entitlements across patch. So these things will never get wiped anymore. And so losing a ship is not going to be a thing. That's not going to be technically possible. We never really delete entitlements. And so you have insurance on those records, so you can claim insurance. The only way to lose a ship will be if you no longer have insurance on it. You still have the deed for it, but you can't claim it. So item recovery is a rework of the entitlement system. It touches on how you claim insurance on ships. It allows snapshotting of ships, but also FPS items, so that these live with an insurance loadout that we can keep and recover, and then will give us the ability to recover or claim your even FPS items. So think of it as an insurance system for FPS items, right? So this whole mechanic ties into LTP as well.
Oh, good, Griff. You can watch it from the beginning later.
We're also through the system to solve some of the issues that exist with,
Good to see you, man.
Taking components off of a ship, then claiming the ship, losing the components, and or in some cases being able to duplicate some default components. This whole loop is insurance has always been a problem design-wise for how this functions. So item imprint v1 allows you to imprint items, save that state, and then recover it on death or when you claim insurance.
Carbide, where the hell do you get a Grolo bobblehead? I want one.
Sure.
What I heard, you keep mentioning insurance. Are you saying that insurance will be in alongside?
This is the second time we're hearing this entitlement.
Yeah, exactly.
Rework information.
I say insurance because that's the same kind of loop in terms of what the services are doing to do this, but basically it's a snapshot we recover from.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
So when item recovery v1 comes out, it'll still be much like it is today as far as insurance. Everybody will just have everybody has LTI on everything at the moment right now until that very specific gameplay system is implemented. So this is not that.
No.
You're using lowercase I insurance.
Lowercase I, yes.
Sorry, I just needed to. I'm like
underscore I.
I didn't think ship insurance was coming in this one.
Yeah.
So just to clarify that before folks go off. You're saying that because it's a change to the entitlement system and everything will just get snapshot and moved over. When you say people will no longer lose ships, you're talking about that whenever a patch comes out, people come in and they're talking about the ships that they've earned in game, the ships they've either bought with AUEC or stolen or whatnot. Those should persist.
If you have an entitlement for something, we no longer wipe that between patches at all. We keep it completely.
Okay.
So that should give us a lot more. In fact, it is exactly the way you would expect it to function right now.
They're using the same entitlement system as the store does.
In the past, didn't account for that, and so there was cases where you could lose something that you own because it was left unstowed in a shard or something like that. And so now with the entitlement system, we keep that cross-patch.
So the first question I have in response to that
interesting
is,
approach.
How will people get rid of things? Because quite frankly, I might go joyriding one day, or I might buy a thing for AUEC and fly it, and then decide I don't want it, I don't like it, and now it's just sitting there staring at me in the ASOP. If these things don't go away between patches now, every time I want to try a ship, or I just move away for a ship, or John Crew nerfs the hell out of the ship and I don't want to fly it anymore.
Damn John Crew.
I might want to get rid of it. So will there be? Is there going to be a mechanism for getting rid of these things?
Well, not with item imprint, right? As part of this, no. But there are. I don't want to go too much into details into this, but
Okay.
I can give an example of like, you have a ship filled with cargo that you stow into your location inventory in New Babbage, and you claim that ship, right? In the current way the system works,
What's that mean,
that
Lono?
cargo's lost, right? That ship will get
My
deleted
mic is
and you're
way
done,
harder
right?
than
You
the
get a new
sound
one,
off the diffs.
but it's the same entitlement, right? With
I'm
the
an
new
audio
system, we
noob,
have the
so break
ability
it down
to
for
also
me.
show you ships that
I'll
you
try to
own that
fix
had
it.
an entitlement on it, and so what that means is you could claim that ship. You'll get a new, let's say it's a Caterpillar filled with cargo, and you're like, I need to claim it for some reason. You can claim the ship. The other ship will be bricked, right? That's how the design is functioning. So it's no longer usable, but you can still retrieve it. You can still retrieve the bricked ship and get it. And then if you destroy the ship or tow it out, then it'll go away from your entitlement. But there's going to be more system, of course, to remove that from your ASOP terminal longer term, but not in this phase, but longer term, yes.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the long-term players, the people who have been here for a while, who have acquired a rather massive fleet already, and
I'm a victim of this.
you know, and you start buying ships, and I'm guilty of it. There's just sometimes I don't want this anymore. I don't want to look at a I don't know, a Rock DS anymore. Just want it out of my ASOP. I bought it mistakenly from Astro Armada. I just had a momentary weakness, and I don't want that Rock DS staring at me in my ASOP for the end of time, because you've done a wonderful thing with item recovery, you know, V1.
But now you keep it,
and
but now
they're
you're stuck with
persistent.
it.
Yeah, some things
Are you saying
aren't
you
meant
don't
to
want
be-
your ships anymore?
I'm just saying some things aren't meant to be persistent. So I just want to take this opportunity to just
that's a
encourage.
good conversation.
There should be some way to remove, to get
I'm
rid of
very
it.
curious about why you singled out the Rock DS out of this.
How much time you got?
Poor Rock DS.
Jared hates the Rock DS, confirmed. Oh, you haven't been watching for a while if you're just getting that confirmed now. Jared, you're not supposed to be going on shows and telling people you hate certain ships. You're supposed to be championing everything. I'm like,
Yeah.
I hate the Rock DS. It's just,
It's comfy though. It's got to get
hold on,
sense.
let's just do everything the first Rock does, but require 2 people.
It's got more storage.
I've never lied to you. I never will.
Sure.
It's the only promise I've ever made people. You've been mentioning long-term persistence, so let's just wrap up this the
arc.
storyline of losing stuff, keeping stuff. The last time we had this conversation, you talked about utilizing this entitlement system. Is that
Right,
what you were
Sergeant?
just talking about, or is there more stuff?
There's more. So there's a lot of work ongoing on this, on the long-term persistent side. So just for those who don't know what long-term persistent is, or LTP, there's a mechanism we put in place to allow you to keep things between patches, right? So
A lot of people would probably settle for a slash roll.
every patch we basically destroy. Like when you come into 4 to 7, when it comes out, that's a brand new database, right? The whole thing is fresh, and then we recreate things. Now, why do we recreate things? It's because these things are still changing. So the Hornet you had in 4.5 is probably different
thank
than
you
the
so
Hornet
much,
you have
dude.
in 4.6. Item port locations have changed, materials have
Really
changed,
appreciate that, man.
serialized variables and all the data that goes with it has changed.
The gold standard Aurora that we just launched is
Great
technically an entirely different ship. The
Completely.
whole entity is different.
Exactly.
And under the hood, to the backer, it looks like, okay, you just added
Same thing.
you added some fins and blah blah blah. But under the hood, it's an entirely new set of
right.
entities.
And so in order to allow us to keep stuff, we've built this system on the side that kind of keeps records of what you own. So it says you own a Hornet, right? That system is always been kind of a, not, I don't want to say a crutch because it did function for a long time, but we've outgrown it quite a bit. There are also many cases where we would remove records of things that you own because they're in play in a shard. That's been proven to be a bit of a bad decision overall, and so that's why we've had multiple issues over the years of like players losing ship entitlements in the new patch or having more items than they were supposed to get. Like, some people have shown some screenshots of demultiplication of things between patches, and so it's been a big issue, right? So with the item imprint work, we're tying into that. We're reducing the footprint of what LTP manages by a lot because it will no longer store your entitlements. We just keep those as is. So that's one big bit removed from that system. The other complexity on that side is that it needs to manage nested inventories. And
back to the freight elevator.
That's just completely crazy. So like, I have a handgun stored in the glove
Starbuck,
box.
I don't think they'll read that on the official stream either, man.
That's attached to my Connie. That's parked somehow inside of my, Idris and stowed in my location inventory. Well, I need to give you a record for that gun, right? And so that system needs to reread data and store it, and it's really complicated.
Which is why people have gotten into the habit before a wipe, or before, not wipe, but before a patch.
Yeah.
Oh, Freudian slip, huh? I know you people. But before a patch, people stow things in certain inventories to have their best chances.
Yeah, to kind of set it up, right? So on long-term persistence, ultimately, we don't want this system, right? Ultimately, we want to get to a point where we don't need it. So step one is to reduce its footprint. So that's part of item imprint is that. So that's a big deal. But the next steps start from the very low level. And will require some large company change. We need
wipe confirm
to be able to migrate your old Hornet into the new one, right? Or at least
so we got two confirmations so far, Chad. We got
enough to give you a new one, right? Or
incoming wipe
being able to
and a 2029 release.
The shape of the hierarchy, the item port locations, and the serialized variable formats on these things. Now, the thing you got to think about the way the ships are built, right? The entities have components on them which enable them to do something. I'll give an example just for the layman. You have a health component on an entity that says, hey, I got 100 hit points. When that reaches 0, then we destroy the entity, or something else happened, it destroys itself, right? That component is written in code. There's a game programmer that's maintaining this. We actually have a health component. It does way more things than this, but just to keep it simple. So a game programmer is programming this, and he needs to persist the value of health so that when this chip is now either put in an inventory, then brought back into the game, that the values of the health components on the parts, on the individual parts, have persisted, and we reload it, right?
No, for Star Citizen 1.0.
This is true for
it's
everything
inferred.
in the game.
They didn't
We
actually
have
say
serialized
it,
variables and
but it's inferred
components across the game. There's, I think your character at the moment has like 800 serialized variables on it or something like that, right? So those are all different components. Are you crouched? Are you standing? Are you, health of all the limbs, stuff like that, right? So the programmers between patches,
it's a joke.
I removed this one, and I put a new one in, and then, because, some of those variables, it doesn't matter if it changes.
Yeah.
Some of them
earlier, Jared said,
right? If
we have a year and then another year and then another year. We counted 3 years,
model,
and so we infer
right?
a 2029 release.
That's the big problem about how we need to forward migrate. Is
I don't want that getting
this
taken
at
out
the
of
very low
context.
level. So currently, our network team and our online teams are working at this mechanism to be able to differentiate the important from the important SVs, the serialized variables, on components. So that's all across all components in the game. There's over 1,500, 2,000 components, individual code components in the game. So, for example, I don't need to know if you're crouched when I stow you in your inventory, right? I don't need to know that, right? But I need to know that when we're running and you're crouched, right? So we differentiate the two.
2 more years.
And then we have a mechanism to migrate the data format from one to the other. When we get that functionality in and reliable, what that means is that we will just keep the database. And that is huge, because now that means there's no longer a process between patches
That'll be
that
enormous.
transfers stuff or moves it around or recomputes things. It's the same database. We're just moving its version forward on demand. Now we've looked at multiple different options for that. Some of them were like, just migrate people from one to the other, but then we'd have to keep 5 databases behind. It's just impossible. And so right now we're working at that option, and that's the longer term vision that we have for that. So first, reduce the footprint of the LTP system so it just manages some things, not all, and then work on the real fundamental issue, which is we need forward migration on all this data.
How many times in your life has a errant,
That'll be huge.
random,
I mean, that's a prerequisite
unexpected serialized
for
variable been the cause of
1.0.
stress in your life?
I mean, it's crazy. This is the single most important thing.
Just think about it, after
in case you guys don't know,
1.0, you're
every
still
time
going to
we
have
do
big patches coming out, right?
Either, well, full patch is easy.
But you don't
because
want
we
like
patch
just big
server,
patches
client,
once you're on
hybrid, everything
1.0.
goes
Like
at
they
once.
need that forward
But when
database
we
migration technology.
perform hotfixes,
If we could get
God
that
knows
sooner
we've done a lot of hotfixing this
and
year,
eliminate
right?
this.
That's part of our process now. But there's like specific steps.
I would
where
imagine
we
we'll
have
definitely get it by
our
beta.
live
I don't know
QA
if we're going to
team
see it before
need
that.
to do compatibility checks, and any change to any serialized variable, added, remove, change the format, change the data, whatever, incompatible client. And so
Yeah.
getting our processes in place to catch those before they get introduced, right, is really taxing because, there's
Hello
always
from the Caribbean.
oh yeah, also fix this bug.
Alejandro.
And that make the whole hotfix incompatible and we can't launch it. So we have to backtrack, change our approach, whatever. And so that's the kind of thing we're dealing with. This will also solve that if we can make it.
And before somebody says you should have just made a simpler game, Benoit. Have you considered just making a simpler game?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, just make it
All right,
simpler.
I want to move into our quality of life section here.
Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit before because we just talked a whole lot about not losing things and all the efforts being made of not losing things. But there are other major quality of life things. For me, personally,
Yeah.
after the not losing the things, it's social.
Yeah.
It's social. The ability to group with people, the ability to communicate with people.
Here we go.
The ability not to communicate with people. The ability to just be like, oh, hey, that's a bad person. That's a bad person with bad thoughts and bad intentions. And boop, boop, and kick them into the pit from 300.
Sure.
And whatnot. Never to see or hear from that person again.
Right.
The all the tools for joining up. Finally, people have been creating and managing orgs on our website since 2013.
Yeah. 13.
And this is 2026, and those orgs still not in game.
Correct. What are we doing?
It's we're reenacting a little play because Benoit and I have had this conversation almost verbatim.
I would love to see social tools this year. I don't know.
Private, for you guys right now.
I don't know if it's going to happen.
So my question, Benoit,
Yeah.
friend, person whom chat has dubbed brother, my brother.
Brother.
From another mother.
When, Benoit? When, please, dear God in heaven above or down below, who do I have to talk to?
Sure.
Give me something
Good.
for social.
Yeah. Well, so what is it now? It's all a blur. A social universe, right? The last panel that we did at CitizenCon. That outlines the vision of what we want to do with social. Now, with the year that we just had, we had to take a little bit of a detour on that initial plan. But right now, we have completely formed the social strike team. And so a bit like the heroes team, right? The social strike team, its only
All right,
mission
guys, we got a
is
strike
to
team.
execute this plan, right? And so
So don't bury the lead. There is now an official dedicated team on this.
social strike team, yes.
Okay.
Exactly. And so this group is currently looking at all of the components that make up the social systems now, right? Fortunately for us, the work didn't stop on this side, even though we couldn't enact the changes in the game. On the back end side of things, there's been a lot of progress on social. And so even though the systems look primitive in game, their capabilities have grown quite a bit, even in 25. We
It's just
do.
not using them yet.
So we do have a
Just
block list that we
give us a green guild chat.
leverage now. It's simplistic, but because we didn't have the UI resources to do it completely. But moving into this strike team, right, covers all areas of social. So the plan is to go into 4 different pillars for it. So the first order of business is the Comlink app. So the Comlink app is like one of the oldest mobi-glass application we still have. It's kind of an eyesore because it's like
it's terrible.
from a dark, ghost of
Whatever happened to the
past.
Comlink
It's like
Spectrum integration that they had for parties?
I want to say
Is that even working now?
at this point.
Last time I checked, it wasn't.
Very old technology. Still use the legacy even UI framework that we had in the game. So we're completely eliminating that tab. We're bringing in forward the social application that we've shown at CitizenCon, so that design is moving forward. So replacing that, chat widget, right? So the entire chat experience in the game, we're completely overhauling this from the top at the moment. So we're right in the process of changing that and hooking it up to the new systems. Revamping things like, social notifications. Currently in our mobi-glass, we only have one kind of level of notification, which is like ultra important.
Yeah, I thought party chat was supposed to be
have a
synced
proper
through
social
Spectrum
experience. You need
at
to
one
have
point.
these like
I thought it worked for
system
like
updates, system
8-point
notifications,
patch,
like
and then it stopped.
someone joins, someone leaves, whatever. Looking at things like combat log and all the stuff that we've looked at in the social universe panel. So we're actively building this now, and that's going to be the first. We don't know. I'm not going to say which patch is going to land in. So our schedule is twofold. There's a content patch schedule and there's a feature schedule.
Okay.
The features need to have leeway because it depends on where they're going to land. But that's going to be the first update to social will be Comlink app, right? So rich party information, friend phone tracking, chat app. So we're working on this right now, actively.
For a 2026 release?
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's like you mentioned, it's kind of urgent at this point that we do something there. This will automatically roll into the next.
We have a strike team.
Oh, keep your dad here.
They're working on it. Coming in a patch. We don't know what patch.
On the next milestone for the social strike team is going to be looking at the party finder mechanic, right? Which basically allows you to advertise your party and then get people to join in. Like, let's say you're looking for a gunner and some FPS guys.
We better get a guild chat before a party finder.
That if you're looking for, friends to go do a specific event, you can do that as well. And so Party Finder, we're hoping, is going to be a way for you to find friends on a given shard really rapidly. Also, tie that in with your friendship and your contacts. So that will be kind of, we're building on the first release, which will have now friend and foe tracking into that. And so that's going to be super interesting.
Mackie
That's
Mara,
the second.
don't make this the
system we wanna
pre-Christmas
bring in.
patch.
And then obviously number 3 of 4, right, is the org system. And so
I thought so
in
too,
that
Griff.
space, we're taking the orgs on
Like,
the
that's what
website
would
from
make sense.
2013, and we're moving them completely. Obviously, the technology we used to build that in 2013 are obsolete. They're, it's a really old system. So we're bringing all of this data back into a game service to manage orgs, to surface that, obviously, game side. So now have org management screens, have your organization chat in the game, and then actually be able to create your organization from the game as well as surface it outside. So that's like, okay, now orgs are in the game. That's the first.
That's the whole name, and then the org.
Yeah, exactly.
That.
And this will probably, we're still having internal discussions about how that surfaces. In our game, nothing is, always set in stones, but, probably going to tie into.
That's not good. We're still in discussion
scanning
mode, guys.
radar, additions to when you fly your ship to identify others with scanning. And so
we don't even have a Jira
That's
ticket yet, it sounds
visibility
like.
in game, chat in game for your orgs, actually having your organization communications.
Yeah, that's a whole nother series of conversations. Weighing immersion versus running around and seeing.
I'm fine
if
with Party
burns when I
Finder. I just want
PvP
guild chat first, Julio.
above people's heads. It's like,
Sure.
So
Let me solo her.
Fun fact: I got to write the original guidance at Blizzard for that. We're back in 2004. For
He worked at Blizzard? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I got to make the original list of. These are examples of really bad guild names to train game.
How am I just now learning that he worked at Blizzard?
Chat, you've been saying it. It's next on the list.
Yeah.
VoIP.
Yeah.
VoIP. If you're doing all this stuff, VoIP.
We're looking at VoIP.
Such an important element.
Sure. It's all part of it.
Graham tells me it's entirely.
Yeah, we need proximity chat.
Graham is. I don't want to say it.
Graham did not say that. He heavily.
Thanks again for all the
though.
gifted subs, Griff. Really appreciate it.
No.
Graham is more savvy than I am. He knew not to say it outright.
Yeah, that's right. We love him, but he's wrong. No, but okay. So VoIP, we're doing improvements there on the backend side of things. So VoIP is mainly, right now heavily affected by the shard size. So the original design for this was really made for the 100 servers, and so we haven't had a chance to go back there at all. As part of this work, this team is also going to look at the infrastructure for voice transmission, and we're going to try to make it scale to the proper thing. So one element that we're talking about on chat and comms is that we're probably going to be moving away from the server chat, so what the original global 600 player chat, and move into regional chats like a true MMO, so that it's tied to the region that you are. Maybe multiple channels for that, and so VoIP will also be affected by that because it also powers proximity chat, and so proximity voice. Sorry, so we're looking at voice transmission from the top to bottom. We're changing the whole backend for this to make it scale.
This is another thing I would expect to integrate tightly with Spectrum.
Baron's chat was dope.
Baron's chat.
Baron's chat. We already have Baron's chat.
It was so dope, we implemented it.
You
here
toggle it with
and have had for the
F12.
last 10
That's
years.
Baron's
right.
chat.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
sorry.
We're also out of this, there's also some movement on player reporting for bad behavior. So not just blocking, which is something that we have now, but that we want to expand on, but also player reporting for other players that
They're so stylish, though.
Either bad behavior, profanity in chat, things like that. Obviously, we don't at CIG don't have a large moderation team in game. So we're going to need some automated help there that will come and clean up some of these elements. So we're trying to really tackle communications from the top there with that strategy.
This is the one that's airing right now. Astro Monkey.
So social. There's not ever losing an item. Shout
We're
out
watching
to
it live.
gameplay engineering director Jens.
That's why I'm not pausing.
That was his major one, and then
I'm talking over them.
That was his one.
Trying to minimize it.
Didn't feel strongly enough to come on the show, though.
No.
Jens.
Yeah, next time we do a duo. Let's sign him up right now.
So not losing things.
Yeah.
Social tools. We'll throw VoIP in with social tools.
So chat, party finder, orgs is what we're going in order.
As far as major quality of life, I want to ask you personally. I'm allowed to say things personally sometimes. I do it often on my live shows, and then get in trouble for it afterwards. Benoit, I want your personal thing. What is your big bugaboo? What is your big quality of life bugaboo? The thing.
So personal.
Yeah.
I've got 2. I've added 1.
Scope creep.
Yeah.
Scope.
Okay, so I would say for me, in terms of quality of life, I love to play the game in a kind of a larger setup. So I have a.
He's got a sim pit.
Kind of a flight seat that I like to operate to play the game, and this thing has roughly 13 devices connected to the game. Managing bindings is literally the worst.
Thank you.
That's my pet peeve. If there was one thing that I could do for my own game experience, other than the in-game elements, it would be completely control bindings.
Fix Windows device ordering.
Currently, we rely on device order for some
Thank
things.
you.
And so, literally, you need to have a kind of almost a common order for the devices on your machine. Sharing these profiles is very difficult. Being able to bind onto multiple devices, to really benefit from that. Being able to bind on multiple like the same action on multiple devices for me is super key, right? So that would be my absolute personal thing, quality of life to solve would be device handling in general.
And you're announcing you've created a hero strike team for this.
Please, we need a strike
I
team.
wish I could just do that, but it'd be cool, you know?
So that's not something coming soon.
Well, there is work being done on the control systems, right? But not that I could say it's coming soon to Star Citizen. Yeah, unfortunately. There's a lot
I
of
heard
work
somebody
there.
yell in the background.
And while you're at, it'd be nice if it stored them and saved them.
Exactly.
Having a system for actually configuring that made sense and whatever, that's all great and whatever. But if I got to redo it,
Store
every
them
patch,
server side.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
I know.
So
Praise the
Saving
Benoit,
them,
right?
save across machines would be great, right? Yeah.
This was a
exactly.
better thing he could have picked than almost anything.
I mean, it's the kind of thing where like I do maintain a couple of rigs at CIG, and people are always changing bindings. But the problem is, I
this
can't
guy's the
reapply
rig
my
master.
because it's not the system anyway.
So there are sim pits in the office.
Hell yeah.
There's sim pits in just about every office at this point, aren't there?
Yes.
Yeah. And Benoit is as if he didn't have enough to do. It's his little pet project. He's intricately involved in them. It's every time I come by and he's at a sim pit, I'm like, you have more important things to do. He's like, and it's always like, somebody change my bindings. Sorry, Pete. I needed the emphasis on it. It's
We
just
did,
the number of
Lysergic.
times I've walked past this man who
We really
just
needed this talk.
So
I know.
yes.
I mean, it's because Yogi and I always are fighting against what the best binding is. You know, mine is clearly better, but you know. So we've decided that at some point we'll just fix the binding system so that we don't have to argue. Just load the one you want.
And you had a second one.
So my second one for inside the game is that I've always found in general like like mission chains is a thing that I feel our gameplay is always one dimensional, right? Like you do a thing, you finish it. Missions, so I know because I know of things, right? I know we're working on an updated mission system.
You're talking about the limitations of the existing missions.
The
You're not talking
limitations.
about the quality of the work of
No,
the people that
no,
are working on
no.
these things.
Yeah.
You're talking about the tools that they
Oh.
have to
The
work on.
system around it doesn't allow us to do these massive.
He had such a
quest chains,
banger on the
right?
first
And I think
response,
that
and this
definitely would be
one-
a huge
this one's
quality,
fallen a
because
little
you can
flat
go
for me.
into a long adventure that takes you across multiple things, and so
Elliot Maltby was about to be on the corner of the building.
know, he's
with a
like-
Suit
high-powered
lockers,
right now.
I would put higher than this.
Yeah,
I agree with
talking
you on
about
the suit
tools
lockers.
that our mission
to enable
And
the
persisting
available-
everything
Exactly.
between logins.
Exactly. So I know we're working on
Your mission
we are
state,
working on
your
on
location.
an updated way
Can't
to
wait
make
for all that.
missions that is a lot more scalable for that, right? And for me, that's like a
Astro
big
Monkey.
quality of life because I
Good
feel
thought.
we can go on a longer adventure, and I think that's a big quality of life overall.
Okay. I think I know that's one that a lot of people would comment on. I mean, what
For
they're
me,
doing within the tool set that
I
that
want
they've had
functional
for so
pool
long.
tables and arcade cabinets in the game.
I think we should talk about
And
a little
TVs.
bit of why that. Well, maybe not why,
Sure.
but we can acknowledge. We can acknowledge that the tool set that was originally developed was not robust enough.
You can lump toilets in with the
It
TVs.
was not in line with the directions of a proper MMO.
Right.
It's no. Trying to decide how candid I want to be here, and whatnot.
Isn't that going to be
It's a
weird,
mission
Ridley?
system. It's a mission system
It feels weird in other
that
games.
can't give you a reward for doing something. Like we built the first version of the mission system where you do a thing, you achieve a goal, and we can't hand you a thing.
Right.
In your mind. And that it's. I'll just use that simple example as a coloring of the limitations of the existing mission system. For however that was built and why that was built and who that was built and everything, we've made changes internally to fix it. We've made changes internally to adjust it, to replace it. It's currently underway.
Game
What
cabinets
they've
that
managed
play
to do with the
Starfield.
limitations
Oh, it's
has been
incredible. Yeah, yeah.
stellar. I was just seeing stats
what a
about
flex
this,
that
the
would be,
event that's
right?
on right now. The event that's on right now, built with the existing system, built with the limitations, has our
Go over to
highest
Bethesda
concurrency
Studios
in
and
the
just
last
flex
2
one.
years outside of an Invictus or an IAE. So it's like they're doing tremendous work.
Yes.
They're doing tremendous work with the tools that they have.
Yes.
We've got to unlock those tools.
That's exactly right.
We've got to
It's
unlock
exactly,
new tools for them.
That's for
I
me,
have not
that's the
seen
quality
Hyper
of life
Vanguard
update.
Force.
Because
Is that
if
a
they
new
can
game?
do this with that,
Yeah.
imagine what they could do.
And
if they
can we
could
put it in an
actually chain
arcade
these
cabinet?
things together and segment them off and have one continue after another and stuff like this. So
Exactly. And tie into reputation, economy.
I'm with you, Steak.
so
That's
that
what
it
I want.
actually is one
I want
big
long
loop.
QT journeys,
Cool.
big adventures where we're all
now
kind
that
of
I've saved
hang
your
out
life
in
from
the
I'll be killing you.
the pool hall of the ship or the rec room. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about some features currently in development.
With mods.
Crafting.
Yeah.
Tech preview just happened recently. How's that going?
Good, actually.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I don't want to say surprisingly good because the team did amazing work on it, but it's
You just wanna
been
flex
going
all over
super
them.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of work left, right? But I think that we got what we needed from the tech preview, and it wasn't a complete meltdown, which is always a good thing. But the team is working really hard to try to hit potentially a patch soon with crafting, which I really
Yes,
believe
playing
that
cards.
crafting is such a big step for Star Citizen as a whole.
Crafting is
You
huge.
know, it's just it will be a different game with the crafting system in place.
The only
And
thing more
so,
important than
the work
pool
that those
tables
teams are doing right now to bring this to
is
life
crafting
is
and base building.
incredible. I think that we're leveraging the technology that we have to be able to create runtime items with different properties and things like that. And so
but only
so
because we
far,
want to be able to
the
craft
first
our
tech
own
preview
pool
has been
tables and put them in
surprisingly,
our bases.
solid and a success, I would say. And so now we're riding the coattails of that tech preview to try to see for a launch window for crafting.
And you can't have crafting without the inventory rework.
Correct. That's right.
And that I rarely ask a question I don't know the answer to already. The inventory rework is in the same tech preview, right?
I don't think it was.
Because if you can't, so you can't have crafting without the inventory rework, but the tech preview for crafting doesn't have.
Technically, you can. They can be.
it would just be really bad.
Exactly.
Technically, we can because they're already doing the crafting preview without
but
the inventory
the
rework.
inventory work is going really well. I mean, some of the people have been reposting screens recently on the original concept, right? That was shown. I mean, it's starting to look like that, so that's really good.
Betting your ships away? Oh my gosh, that would be
We're
amazing.
hoping very soon because, like, at this point,
Like a high-stake poker
every
game like
version of
in
this
Star
thing is fully
Wars.
functional, and so we just really want to solve one thing.
You just
This
throw
is
your
one
C2 in the
you say
ring.
quality of life.
That would be
like, If
amazing.
I have a third one to add to my list, right? The speed of rendering of icons in the inventory, right? And so right
yeah.
now, you open your inventory and there's always
It's
a
so laggy.
moment where it's rendering RTT, like the render to texture icons for each of those. Now, in
Yeah,
case
that
you
means
don't know, this is a full
instant.
3D scene that gets rendered flat right there. Like we have versions of this in previous concepts where it's full 3D. It's super
That
nice.
would be
but
freaking cool.
Takes forever to load.
the user
Holographic
experience
inventory.
is not great, right? And no matter the amount of work we're going to put on the UI and the functionality of inventory, the speed of the UI is really a thing that we need to improve. And so that's the part that we're still iterating on now. We've done massive improvements, but there's
I
still,
want my own R2D2.
we need to dial that in perfectly because that's the part we really want to solve.
But you feel good about it.
I feel good about it. Yeah, absolutely.
You feel good enough to say 4.7 in March?
I think
Calidus,
so.
exactly.
I think so.
Don't put the camera when he says that. You got to put the camera on him. No, you look at the
So
camera.
March?
You say inventory.
I think inventory is going to be in 4.7. I think so.
Okay.
Inventory of 4.7.
You're going to put the small text after this, right?
That's huge.
No, this is live. this is live, baby. No small text. And
That's
so
huge.
if inventory rework is 4.7, I'm not going to push
Nice.
down crafting. It's a super complicated thing or whatever. But
I mean, the teams are working really hard for that launch window if they can make it.
for that launch window,
We're pushing really hard for that launch window.
you're pushing really hard to get crafting in 4.7
Yes.
in March.
Yes.
Okay.
No promises.
No, pushing hard is fair. Pushing hard is fair, and it's in line with what I've seen.
Yeah.
I've seen. So I won't correct you on that or whatever.
Now we don't know what surprises are ahead. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
So
That pleases me too.
Keep tech previewing.
Keep tech previewing, exactly.
Yep. And for your part, keep logging into the tech previews and keep testing. I cannot stress this enough. The more involved folks are in those things, the more likely we are to be able to deliver them.
And the feedback is really key.
David, proximity chat's still important, though. Okay. When I run into somebody in the verse, I can't talk to them with Discord. Proximity chat's important for that on-the-fly coordination, you know?
It's just what?
Not to mention, I think they can
It
get
is what it is.
party and org
Canada goes both ways.
chat to be more immersive.
Very good, actually.
Than Discord.
We actually had a summit this week about instancing, about getting all of the levels set up to support it. At this point, so maybe I can do a quick recap on
I'm with you, Griff.
The
primary reason I'm excited for the inventory rework is just for the benefits it has to crafting.
Instancing is basically a
based on what I've read.
System on top of server meshing, which allows us to take an area of space and give it to a server in the mesh to manage, right? Doesn't matter which one. The geographical, if I want, the spatial position of this thing doesn't matter, right? So for example, when you go to your hangar right now, that is an instance, right? So what we're doing is we're taking this system that manages and we're making a true instance manager with it. So we currently have the backend service completed for this. And so what that provides is the mechanism for creating an instance that is associated with you or your party, and having, you know, rules for how many, this instance is made for how many players, enforcing player caps and party caps for that instance, managing the life cycle of the instance. So, hey, we want, you know, go back to my WoW days. Maybe that's dated now, but like your Molten Core instance lives for 10 days, right? So the instance manager is in charge of doing that. So
these are all ex-WoW developers, huh?
And so the teams are currently working at how the entrance to the instance is going to work, right? So, well, we know how it's going to work, but like how it ties into level. So level designers put in, you know, an entrance way.
Right.
At what point are you crossing the boundary? What brings you to the instance? What brings you out? Transport is a requirement for instancing. So just ties into all the discussion we just had. Like transit cannot bring you to an instance, but transport can. Okay. So basically we want to power that up there. So you can imagine an area of space that you walk into through a SAS or an elevator or a transit train. And when you come out, you're in the instance, but you don't even see.
Given the difficulty on the dynamic.
Exactly. Now you're inside the instance.
Gateways,
you play inside the instance. You can gather items, inventories, whatever, boss fights, etc. And then you can exit through another transit link, and that's it. You're back in the world.
So if we do this right, you should never be aware that you're doing it. We might have to put some kind of indicator on there because of like raid locks or whatever. We talked about municipal works, you know, and like this. So there might have to be some UI stuff to tell you to.
Yeah, some screens will show you like, oh, you can't enter this because
but from an experience, we're not. It's there's no load screen. There's no hold on, please wait. You're transferring you to you know whatever. Like you see, it's just you're gonna go and suddenly the world around you is going to melt away, and you will be in a section of the universe that is dedicated entirely to you and your party.
Exactly. To play it, right? And then, you know, we're also talking about at the moment how the instance manager responds to the mission system, because we might want to be able to change
part of the dungeons, the elevator boss at the start,
the threshold, or things like that. And so
that was true for Undercity too, Carlos.
Or the access rights, right?
I can't tell you how many times I died on the Undercity elevator.
Wow, this sucks, but whatever. In the good old WoW days, you know, you need to do lower Blackrock Spire, and at some point, someone has a key. That's the requirement that unlocks upper Blackrock Spire. Well, we're thinking about mechanics in that vein that allow the mission system to lock or unlock or the access rights to an instance. And so all of this is currently being managed, but it's going really well. Most of the networking capabilities that we needed have been added already. So one of them is that currently when you go to your instance, the way the server actually tracks that is we put a flag on
teleport to space
on your character that enables you to stream in your hangar and actually view your hangar when you go there. And we remove that flag when you leave it or when you go elsewhere when the hangar is removed. And so in the code up to now, we only had the ability for a single one of those on your character, so we can.
I wonder
only
if they
give you
have
access
another
to one
variable for
instance.
allowing me to see
But we
other
need
people
to
in my
be able
hangar,
to give you multiple,
even though they're
access to
not
multiple
there.
instances, because we might have areas of transit that cross like one instance to another instance, things like that. We're going a bit deep with this, but at the moment those mechanics are ready, so the networking bit is done. So now we're really about crafting the first experience that we want to do with instancing.
And the first instance content will be Siege of Orison. We announced that.
Redux.
I'm looking forward to the
Siege of
Siege.
Orison Redux. Ooh, c'est en France.
Yeah.
I've had some really good experiences in Siege, but often it was
scheduled to
marred
come
by
online. We
other
talked
people
about
that-
it during CitizenCon
which I love the
Direct.
PvP, but
That's one of the
like nothing was ever up. You know what I mean? I'm looking forward to being able to play through it
Basically, everything you
as
should
it was
be.
meant.
We've been talking more about a schedule than I probably intended at the beginning of this thing. But everything you saw,
Let's talk about stuff.
sorry, everything
Yes,
that you
that's
saw at
the
CitizenCon
elevator.
Direct
That
last
was a
year is
good one,
scheduled
Griff.
for 2026. So
The goat.
and we announced at the beginning of the year with the first ISC that we've now moved to a bi-monthly. That's once every 2 months. For those who like homonyms, I'm not above recycling a joke. Content thing. So if you know the first one was in January. We've already stated the second one's in March. The third one will be in May. There's always a patch in May for very important reasons. So forth and so forth. So when you it's one of those things where when you look at the content for CitizenCon Direct, you can sort of start to reverse engineer where things go. I'm not going to tell you. I'm saying you've got the tools. You've got the tools. You can pretty much kind of gather where everything is going to be. And I'd like to see your schedules. And that's just content. That's just the content stuff, because that's really what we talked about at Citizen.
I can tell you, like,
features.
from being with the team this week, working on instancing, everybody's like super stoked. Like it's like the energy is really high on like, oh man, you know how you enter it, how you exit it, what gameplay is going to be in it. There's also a big piece of this, which is like some designers, you know, in this case, can design an experience that is repeatable. Most of the content we've produced this year was, you know,
I would love to know how
there's
they're
a
going to
PvE
bound
experience
an
for it, but
instance.
it's fundamentally in a PvP zone. So that is giving them those tools.
Because
to
the
do
one
something
unique thing
that's
about
fun
Star
and
Citizen's
repeatable
approach
as an
is
experience. And I mean,
it sounds like they want to be able to instance an arbitrary
Now, chat's like,
section
Squadron 42,
of the
whatever.
world.
I ain't talking about Squadron 42. I made one very plain
Like Siege of Orison's a good
reasonable
example.
comment about Squadron 42 the last time we got together, and it got press articles. So I ain't saying nothing.
They also mentioned
I'm
bars
talking about Star Citizen. Star Citizen.
that exist in the world, but they want to be able to instance them on demand. It's going to be interesting. I'd like to see how they do that.
Where we at?
I want to inject something.
Inject.
I want to inject something.
Okay, let's go.
Something we haven't talked about. It came from the chat. It came from the chat. Regional servers.
Yeah.
Regional servers. We have never had a conversation
About
in
regions.
any way,
Sure.
shape, or form about regional servers. It was there in the chat and whatnot. I think I'm going to put you on the spot.
What are they asking?
It just says regional servers when. Just what can we do to help the people
Social
who
feature.
play in the various regions of the world
Sure.
have a better experience? Is that the answer? I guess what I'm asking is regional servers the answer, or is there or are we going towards something else different that I've literally never asked you about?
Well, I don't know in this case if they're asking for what I think they are, but let's talk about regions.
Okay.
So we already have regions, right? So when you play the game, you can pick one of the global availability regions.
wish we
that
could have one global
that
shard.
we service. So obviously,
But-
the U.S., North America is
I
one.
just don't see it being possible in a game like this.
Europe is one. We have East Asia, Australia. I forget the other ones, but I think we have another one. So typically we look at user data, right? And if an area reaches critical mass, right, at some point, then it's worth it to deploy shards there. So and have shards hosted in that region. So we do it like between US and EU. Obviously, they share our common backend. So your inventory system is hosted in one central area.
Surf
But then
Addicts,
the
I've had
actual
that
game
problem
servers
before.
you're playing on for latency reasons is going to be closer to your area right now. You know, we are revisiting our region kind of distribution for a couple of reasons. Like we've done some pretty large, without naming any details here, but we're in the process of doing some pretty large migrations, in how we host the game. So there's, even if it's a bit transparent, there is a lot of changes happening there. And so we are revisiting our region map kind of at the moment. But typically the way that we've done this is we look at player data, and if we reach critical mass in an area, then it's worth it to start deploying some shards there. But it needs to be more than one, right? Because deploying one shard in one area is problematic because there are cases where a shard goes into trouble for some reason, and before a hotfix actually deploy, that shard is no longer usable. So we need to have, it needs a critical mass to be able to go there. Yeah, exactly, a proper cluster size to be able to get there.
And the short version of that is you're currently undergoing conversations about where.
Yeah, we're looking at that because we've done some changes, so we have access to more regions than we used to. So we're looking at that, but I can't promise any changes. Again, it's completely based on player using the service.
So during the key bindings conversation, every once in a while I'll check Teams just to see if I still have a job during the shows. Which is another joke.
The multi-shard per region for redundancy is interesting.
Repeatedly, but it isn't a joke. I really do scroll and check. Jeffrey Prees.
I had assumed that shards would be named eventually and choosable, but that kind of makes it
a Jira
sound like that's not
key bindings. Exporting custom key bindings to XML doesn't export all settings.
2013 or what?
But he's just sending me Jiras now. I don't know what you think I'm going to do with this, but thank you. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Bearded.
Thanks, Bearded. I haven't talked to Jeff in a while.
That's actually a guy we should.
And if not, then some of the choices they're making right now
you get him on the show.
make a little more
You want
sense.
to talk about Jeff? Let's talk about Jeff. He can't do anything about it. We know he's watching.
Yeah, that's right.
So what do you think he's hiding behind that beard?
I don't know.
We're in the final stretch.
For example, identifying what shard base rate can take place on.
He does have a big beard. That's not a joke. He's not called Bearded for anything.
VR. VR kind of came out of. I mean, it's one of those things we've been talking about it.
Sure.
We talk about.
Anybody
it
here playing VR?
Yeah. I mean, let's be real. We've talked about.
I've
a lot
not
of
tried
things
it
over
yet.
the years. I mean, we've talked about a lot of things.
I mean, we used to have VR in 2014. I say a bit air quotes. Air quotes.
That's like saying I'm a baseball player because I've played. I played a couple of Little League games. Let's look out.
A long time ago.
A long time ago.
I think it was Oculus Dev Kit 1.
Yeah.
Is what was supported at the time.
Yes.
Anyway.
And I used it for 45 minutes and ended up in the fetal position for the next 3 hours. VR is not for me. I want to preface this by saying VR is not for me. But it's for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's for a lot of people. And
Nice for us.
at the end of last year, surprise, a not a fully blown or fully cooked, fully developed feature like we would normally refer to them. Some how do we refer to it? An experimental feature of VR.
Yeah.
Where did this come from? What's going on? And do it without saying the word Santa Sylvan.
No, sure. Yeah. Well, so there are a lot of developers at CIG that really like immersive experience and work, right? And so there's a contingent of developers, also one specific one, that have been really trying to get the Star Engine to properly support VR. And so, as an experiment and to build that, these guys and, Sylvan in specific has been really pushing hard to try to get, Star Engine to work in VR, experimented with multiple different approaches, over the last couple of months, settled on the OpenXR approach, and was actually able, through his own, passion and then support from his other colleagues, right, to, get stuff fixed so that we could support, VR in specific cases. And so, that's how we decided at some point, hey, you know what, like this is actually pretty cool. Let's release it, right? Like we have a unique chance at CIG to be able to work on a custom engine and working on custom technology. And so encouraging that effort, we decided to release an experimental mode to see, hey, let's see if people like it. And
makes sense.
I mean, the response has been pretty impressive overall. I think that it's the results that we're able to get in VR are a testament to some of the decisions over the years that were taken and how the game has been made. And so there's a lot of little things that just shine when you now put the VR headset on that, you know, maybe if you're playing just on a PC, you're not going to appreciate as much. But, you know,
so true.
and, you know, I'm going to echo Chris Roberts here, but Chris, you know, always insisted on, you know, taking the difficult approaches to build certain features. Right? There's a lot of things that you're
really
like,
interested.
oh, we could have done simpler on this one. But yeah, but we did the hard road and we actually delivered it. And so now when you put the VR headset on, well, you've got reverse IK in the seat, right? And it's like, and it's the kind of thing that now all these decisions have paid off in this VR.
It's a pain in the ass in 2017.
100%.
Yeah.
When
I first logged into 3.17,
Sure.
like at that point, I knew this game was being built for VR.
Yeah.
That part was plug and play
Yeah,
because of it.
yeah, and I mean, even internally, the arrival of
Makes
VR,
sense that it's
even
one guy
before the
pushing us through
experimental
too. I
mode
can't
was
tell you the
shipped
number of times it was like
you know,
one
tremendous.
super
Like I
passionate
spent,
individual, like
you know, a couple of hours here around our VR rigs next to my
is
sim
responsible
rigs
for pushing out some cool
with the ship team going
ass
like,
feature
oh,
out
I
of
want
left
to see
field.
my ship in VR. Let's go. And then, you know, because designing for VR is a bit different. Like, sense of space changes and whatever. So that's really truly an experimental mode that we've been pushing. Obviously, there's a lot more people around Sylvain to help him out and get this there. But, you know, I think that this is a testament to kind of the technical framework that we have at CIG that allows that kind of effort to not go unnoticed and kind of show up in the game.
Chat's currently arguing about whether VR is a low priority or high priority and stuff like this.
And the priority at this point doesn't matter because it's an experimental mode.
Yep.
It's a bit like eye tracking. It's a bit like, you know, all of these side projects, right? Like head tracking, eye tracking.
It's not an
foliage,
initiative on the same scale as the inventory rework or as crafting.
Exactly.
It's not a full initiative. It has not taken a priority over something else.
Exactly.
I've only got a couple more questions for you, and they're kind of the big ones. And yes, people, it's about the thing that you want us to talk about. We're saving it for the end. I've been doing this for a while. But I want to take a few questions from the chat right now before we get to it, because we're actually doing okay on time here.
All right.
Is the inventory rework, is it just UI, or will it actually apply any additional functionality to stacking and unstacking and stuff like that?
There's additional functionality, but obviously the big of the groundwork was the UI, you know, usability. But if you look at the mock-ups, right, you also see equipment. So it's not just inventory, it's actually equipment plus assignment on your character. So the paper doll approach. There's also some other elements like proximity inventories that are part of that, which are pretty large functionality-wise, and I think will have an impact. So it's not just UI. There's a lot more client architecture also. The way the UI pulls the data, caches the data, and displays it.
More Twitch drops. There will be more Twitch drops this year. Already in that. Yes to medical. Why didn't Levski mold situation have us rescuing NPCs with medical ships? We'll talk about that in 2 weeks when we've got
Scavian, that's a cool tidbit of information.
We'll talk about that whole event and stuff. So we'll save that question for them so they can speak about their own work.
Checks out.
When Nix won this year?
Yeah.
That's something that got me in trouble. One thing I hope, and it got articles. Seriously,
it got articled.
Spokesperson says he hopes this will be whatever. I'm like, oh yeah.
It got articled.
Let's see. There was one. There was one more. I can't find it. There was one more question I want to sneak in before the questions that are already on here. All right. This section is called Final Hot Seat Stuff.
I just read Final Hot Stuff.
You missed a word. Things that are happening in the game today. Economy exploits. And if you're watching the show and you're wondering why I'm talking about economy exploits, it's because I'm going to get to the next question that you've got, the question you've had the whole time. So,
yeah,
let's talk about the economy exploits.
Sure.
What's happening?
There are exploits.
Be better.
Well, so in terms of the economy in general, right? There's a couple. I think we're up to 7 or 8 right now. So first of all, we have a strike team on this at the moment, right? Looking at all these different things. There's a couple of ways in which there's been potentially duping, ways to earn rewards they're not supposed to have.
I think we're beyond potentially.
No. Well, yeah.
Okay, fair.
And so we're looking at all these exploit vectors, right, to fix them. Obviously, that needs to be prioritized. The big conversation that was spawned from that is like, we're a game in development, but we're also delivering a live service, right? And so we don't have a framework for this. In that internally, when we get exploit reports, we don't necessarily automatically prioritize them. So the conversation that was spawned was like, okay, well, there are going to be exploits, right? Every game has a series of exploits for its entirety of its life, right? No game has no exploits. And so the question is more, how do you respond for it, right? And so historically, exploits have always taken a lower priority to ongoing development, right?
I want to jump in. You're tense switching between past and present here. I want to be clear. You're talking about the past right now.
The past.
He's tense switching a couple of times. It makes it sound like he's talking about today.
No.
It's like this. We're talking about the past, guys.
So in the past, right, exploits would fall. There'd be bugs like any other, right? Depending on the severity, sometimes they got escalated, but we didn't have a process for this. So now the conversation is about, when we do get an exploit report, how do we deal with it? Like, how do we escalate it? How do we respond to it? How do we deal with it, right? And so for the current ongoing exploits that we know about that have a damaging effect on the economy, currently we're dealing with them the same way we've dealt with the other hero strike teams. And so we're looking at each one of them and confirming the fixes, right? Because sometimes, you fix an exploit, there's a second vector right away. So those are complicated fixes sometimes. So we're dealing with these things right away, but the big thing that also this puts in light is that even a minor exploit at the moment has a very large effect on the economy, because there are many limits that are not in place. And so at the moment, we're also looking at overall economy design and limits around, selling, inventory capacity, exchange limits, ongoing active tracking of player trades and or large purchases, things like that. Now, we want to make clear that we want the economy to be fun and movable, but we also need some protectionism behind it. And so that's what we're looking at the moment. Now, I don't have all the solutions. I didn't write them out or show them out, but this is the spirit that we're in at the moment on these economy exploits.
You're
Khaled, as too many games didn't have this conversation early
being
on.
very diplomatic about
Like,
I want to point out some of the struggle with talking about this.
Yeah.
We can't
tell you how we're going to fix it.
We can't tell you we can't tell people what we're doing.
Yes.
Because every single let's back this up a bit. So an exploit exists. Whatever timeline you want, we'll just make it simple. We'll make it real simple and do days for the point of conversation here. Exploit exists on day 0. On day 1, it comes to our attention. By day 2, we figured out what's causing it. We cause it. On day 3,
seriously,
we could fix it potentially,
the
depending
world
on the
drowned
severity.
in
But we don't
exploits.
automatically do that,
Yeah.
because there's stuff to be learned by leaving it. In certain cases, we find more information out about who's doing it. We find where it's coming from. About other vectors, we found like any bug. Okay, we found this cause, but sometimes there's 5 other causes for every bug. So you find this cause of an exploit, but maybe there's 4 other causes for that same exploit. And if we patch this one up right now, we may hide the other ones and we won't discover them for much, much later. And so it goes. There's this incredible dance that I get to sit here and watch.
Sure.
I get to sit here and watch you guys do. Occasionally, I speak up with a thing, and you're very.
I understand this line of reasoning, but
here and there from time to time. But I get to watch you and the player experience team and your program.
You're going to have the same problem in
this amazing dance
1.0, right?
Of finding these things and researching.
Like, you could make the same argument for delaying the patch
how they happen. And
of an exploit at 1.0, but nobody would want that.
It's one of those things, we come here on a show and I want to talk about it. And we were talking about this last night, but we can't go through all the methodologies. No. We can't discuss all the
That said, I agree. They have a little more leeway now.
And if they know what we're doing,
the consequences are not going to last forever.
Incredible dance.
Yeah.
That is
I can understand
frustrating,
them.
and it can often look like we're sitting on our hands.
But they need to build the muscle
nothing.
for reacting to
that's
exploits
an unfortunate,
super rapidly.
frustrating side effect of the proper way to do this.
Yeah, well, everything.
Have a robust system for rollbacks,
security, anti-cheat, economy,
otherwise.
exploits. It falls in that. Yeah. It's going to fall into that area where we can't be as transparent as we'd like to be. And
they're saying it in chat now, and they're not wrong. Like cheats and exploits have sunk so many games. Yeah, we have to get a hold on them. We have to get a handle on them. We have to fix them and whatnot. And again, but it's this dance. It can't always be right away.
Correct.
It can't. At least that's one of the things that alpha affords us. We have to
exactly. Alpha affords you that, but it does have to be right away in production.
Take the time that we're actually finding all the bad actors and blah blah blah. It's just at the same time, it's annoying because you want to go to Reddit, you want to go to Spectrum, you want to go to Twitter or whatnot, and just scream, "We're on it, we're doing it," whatever. But you can't tip your hat anything. You can't. It's because every.
Well, I put my colon.
Good morning, Hustle Bones.
Colon emoji.
All right, you can rewatch
it.
You can't say we're actively chasing this one because then the people who are using it scatter and we don't find them.
I think it's early because they're in Europe.
It's one of the hardest aspects of game development communication, especially for
almost
a project
5 p.m.
like
over there,
us
I
that
think,
prides itself on being as open as we are. People will be like, open development. I can't believe you're not telling us. That doesn't mean it's open. I'm like, open development means we're more open than any other company in the history of the medium. It doesn't mean we share every single thing, every single moment, the minute it comes out. Yeah. I do sometimes, and I get in trouble. But it's really difficult.
It's a difficult balancing act for sure.
It's terrible.
Astro Monkey, that definitely plays a part.
There's so many moments when I want to go out and scream, "We got this! We're on it! We're doing this! It's fixed!" But we just can't. You can't because it makes it harder. It makes it harder to do.
Well, yeah, and you're gonna miss things. That's the main thing.
But.
Hey, can we flip seats for a second? Because you just grilled me for what? How long have we been going?
Oh yeah, grilled Jared.
Almost 2 hours.
Yeah. I have one question that I want to switch seats for. You ready for it?
You want to ask me a question?
I want to ask you a question. I want to grill you on one, at least one.
I can see you looking at your laptop like you've got notes. All right. What do you?
I have my note question right here.
What do you have for me, Benoit?
So, is the battle cruiser actually happening? Is that thing actually going?
Whiplash. Just whiplash. What does that have to do with anything?
It's whiplash. Let's go.
Let me see if I'm being yelled at already.
Yeah, check this out. Do, 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 do.
I am not.
Where are you doing, Jared?
I am not actively being yelled at.
Good.
Yes, the battle cruiser is coming.
Yes.
It's a tried and true manufacturer, not one of these new hotness manufacturers. It's one of the older manufacturers of verse.
Ooh.
And
there's a good question.
I did say this last time, so
who do you think's going to put
not new information.
Who do you think's going to be the manufacturer?
But our big giant military combat themed event that we do every year around May is probably a pretty good time to expect it. And it will be and as we said before, it is our intention to make it the last concept we do. We made it through 2025 without a concept, without a single concept promotion. We do not have a single concept promotion scheduled for 2026. Other than this battlecruiser, we don't have a single concept promotion scheduled for 2027. This will be the last one. It's an old Kickstarter thing.
Yeah.
And so
it's happening.
It's happening. It's happening. We're going forward. I'm not going to tell you anything more about it now. But yeah. So, okay.
Is it big?
You got anything more? that it? You get your one out?
Is it big?
It's very big.
The javelin is Aegis,
very,
right?
Very big.
The Kraken is Drake.
That's all I got.
That's all I'm gonna say. Okay. So
Origin has a huge ship, the 890.
just sneak it right in there. Just piece of shit. That's my one for the show. All right, then fine. Wipe.
I don't know.
Wipe.
We were
Benoit.
doing so good.
Wipe. I held them off. Wipe.
Right.
So
So
the RSI, Polaris is RSI, right?
we're not planning a wipe. We're planning.
What is
Good
Idris?
night, everybody.
We're planning. We're looking at targeted
Idris is Aegis too, right?
actions.
Yeah.
Right. But we're not looking at a wipe for the moment, and so we want to keep on rolling. First of all, there's a lot of some of the work we've discussed. Obviously, I can't share the details of what we're doing, but that needs to be completed. So for now, we're not intending a full blanket wipe at all.
No, this goes back to what we were saying before about the biggest quality of life thing. All this work going in to long-term persistence and to
Idris is
item
RSI?
recovery V1 and stuff. It's about and the freight elevator. It's about making sure you keep your stuff.
Yeah.
Making sure you keep your stuff. Making sure you keep your stuff. Making sure you keep your stuff. So
I would guess Anvil or
we've
Aegis.
got tools. We've got logs. We've got
A lot of logs.
we got a lot of logs. We got a lot of information. A lot of information. So it is our intention to do a targeted correction
Correct.
to those
We need an
areas
Argo battle cruiser.
Problematic. For that needed.
and preserve as much of the gotten gains of the everyday Star Citizen as possible.
Exactly.
So
Okay, I thought
no blanket wipe.
That's right.
Okay.
Cool. So we've answered that. That's done.
that pushes me to Anvil.
What else you got?
That'd be my guess.
Just hit me with a Valkyrie.
I'll have to put up a poll.
Oh, I got a message. Hold on.
We need more input
Hold
on
on.
this.
Hold on, where's that? I skipped it. Was the battlecruiser mentioned in SCL just now planned? Lol.
The Origin Battle Cruiser Pro.
Planned by somebody.
Whoa.
We should come up with names like that for the poll.
All right. No comments. No comments about the size other than it's big.
Cool.
It's big. It's just big and it's cool and it is so.
Yeah,
so damn
Warwick
cool.
and Griff. That's why I'm leaning
All right,
Anvil.
that's it. Oh
Cool.
no.
Yeah.
One last question.
Yeah.
Tell me something we don't know about. Tell me something we should be excited about that we're not currently excited about. Give us something nobody's expecting.
That's hard. You're putting me on the spot now.
I'm putting you on the spot, Mister. Is the battlecruiser coming?
Okay. Well, one thing we didn't talk about in detail that I could give background info on is Genesis.
Okay.
And
Here we go.
Nick
Genesis.
Right?
Okay.
So, I mean, we're obviously working on this. That's no surprise to anyone. But the one thing that I'm excited about is that we've kind of conjoined development on 3 separate things in order to ship the best Nix experience that we could offer, right? And so, obviously, Genesis is part of that, and the Planet Tech that's behind it. But also, the Starchitect work. And so, for those who don't know, Starchitect is a way for us to be smarter about building planets and the human populations that are on them. So settlements, buildings, distro centers, LZs, name it, right? So historically, we've placed that by hand. And so Starchitect is a way for us to give designers control over the planetary scale of how these are
That's the thing that
distributed. And
clusters POIs
it's a
and
fairly fundamental change to how the game is made.
does it
And
like on a
the
planetary
third one
scale.
is
They give a
what we
presentation
call
that
the
looks so freaking
population
cool.
Control / population manager. So currently you have AIs in the game, right, that are sometimes hand placed, sometimes dynamically spawned. We've talked about
spawn like a.
Most times they just
Bracket
cower in
alien trying to
spaceports.
Spawn button.
yeah, that's which is my biggest pet peeve, by the way. If you
Apologies
wanna,
to
that's my trigger
crackheads.
point. If you want to trigger me in a meeting, just tell me there's another overspawn issue. But anyway, so population management and control is a third component of this. So I'm excited about this because as we're working towards next one, we're aligning all those three things into one strike team to deliver that together. So
nice.
I'm excited about that because those are like three major development pieces that Star Citizen needs to scale that we're bringing in together. So for pop control, instead of having all these either hand-placed or dynamically spawned AIs in key areas, that's a system that will basically manage the server capacity of AI agents to be able to distribute them at the right place, but also spawn the right AIs for the right jobs, manage the priority of these spawn requests, all that stuff. And so it's such a much more scalable system that will allow us to really like build up a dense universe than we've had before. So I'm excited about the fact that those three projects are part of the same kind of drive at the moment. That's the first thing I would say that you guys don't know about that we're going to bring
Universe
together.
Population density. Very good.
The second one, I mean, there are some hints
Very good
of
thing to
this
get excited
in the
about.
game already. So if, I know some of the techies look into the game client, try to find some stuff. I'm not going to go into more details about this, but we talked about sim rigs. We talked about how the experience in the sim rig is. So VR is a great thing if you have a sim rig, right? Obviously, having the headset on is such a more dense experience. We're also working at improving our peripheral support, so being able to feed information, non-damaging information to peripheral manufacturers, so be able to enable them to make custom Star Citizen experience for the sim rigs. And also we're currently in the process of looking at motion and motion platform support for the game. And so I think that's something we haven't talked about.
What the hell's a motion platform?
But I'm mega excited about it because
Opening up the API.
Opening up basically the motion systems to be able to leverage that, on the key elements. So I think that's something that I'm super excited about because that's just another level.
There's that new Corsair keyboard that's got the Stream Deck built into it and
That's
stuff
cool.
like that, and like this.
So those would be my two.
Anything for player facing for in game?
Something new.
Morning, say more.
I know about something. We're treating this like it's a big thing. It's not. We just did the big thing, but spawning.
Oh yeah.
Changes to spawning.
Well, so
Spawning.
we talked about spawn in the hangar, right? And so to build spawning hangar, we had to build a new workflow, right? To be able to determine, can we spawn you there? Is there a requirement for you?
And we set the stage for spawning where you log out.
The requirement in the case of spawning the hangar is your hangar spawned, right? That's also extended to ships, right? But what we're trying to achieve, now I'm not promising this anywhere, but is spawn in place. And so we're trying to extend that workflow for spawn in place so that, you just log in the game and you spawn where you were. And so that's something that we're passionate about. We're trying to get in there. So
Log in, log out,
bam on it.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Not a, you have a bed in a ship. You haven't. You don't have a bed in a ship. Yeah. You just wherever you are, get out.
Correct.
Get back in. Come back right there.
Yeah. Surface of a planet, spawn in place.
Yep.
As long as you can still spawn there. Right. Yep. There's going to be rules and limitations, but we're looking into that. Yep. That is also a big change for the game to me.
Yes.
That's a huge change.
Yeah. Just
cool. I'm happy you raised that up. I was going to forget about it.
That'll be huge.
All right. And at that, we managed. It's 4:57. We're right there at the
We need some benefit for beds still, though, I think.
What do they say at the end of Hot Ones? Tell everybody give everybody your socials. Tell everybody where they can find you when you do next.
I mean, I guess here in over many months.
We're here until the heat death of the universe.
That's right.
Benoit,
it is going to be complicated.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you as always for coming back. We're doing these about every 6 months. It's what we agreed when we did this.
Kind
first
of a
one
rendezvous
about a year
now,
ago.
right?
Yeah.
It's a good rendezvous.
And so we'll see it. We'll see you again sometime this summer.
Yeah.
Probably.
Sure. Absolutely.
I just want to say,
I can think of a lot of complicated situations.
This is our first SCL back. It's actually our first SCL since IAE. We did the all ships Q&A, and then we didn't get to do a whole lot of SCLs last year because of a whole bunch of other changes that was going on, mostly in my life. We're gonna have a lot more SCLs this year. We got a group of like 4 in a row coming in like April, I think. Whatever. The chance to have somebody at your level and your involvement take the time out to come be here, answer quite literally any question I put you. You didn't beg off.
A noble goal wanting to be a space farm
so I spent the part giving the tech teams their props.
I also
the
want that
programmers
capability.
their props, and the strike team their props, and I want to sit here and give you your props. Thank you so much for being here. Far more than I will give Jens, who won't.
Yeah, I love these chats. Yeah, I love when Benoit comes out and talks like this. This is amazing.
I know.
I appreciate it.
I love the Jens.
I love coming here and chatting about Star Citizen. And if you ever meet me in a Bar Citizen, it's the same thing. So, just do it live.
Thanks so much, guys.
McNamara, they confirmed farming and
that was
fishing.
at the beginning of the show on the Twitch version. It won't
Not
be
for
on the
1.0
YouTube version. But that's just toys. It has nothing to do with
They did
work.
say that.
We were just nerding out a little bit at the beginning of the show. Thanks for watching, everybody. We're back next week with a Behind the Ships special on the next spacecraft making its way to the Star Citizen Persistent Universe.
Is John Crew going to be there?
John Crew's in there, and Ben Curtis is in there, and Torsten Lyman is in there, and some other people, because I'm not really good with names, whatever. The second I started calling out names, I knew it was a mistake. Chris Danks is in there. So, who? Batu? Batu's in this one? Yeah. I filmed with Batu? Yeah. He's great. Yeah. Wow, they really run together. Sorry, everybody. But yeah, that's next week. An exciting new spaceship Mon making its way to the Persistent Universe next week in those little middle things. We talked about it in ISE, the big patches in January and March and May, it's like this, and then these interesting little content drops in the middle. So we're going to add a new ship in the middle of a patch drop, and for the first time in the history of our project, we'll see how that goes.
Let's do it.
Let's get it. There's a press article.
For that.
So thanks for watching. I'm Jared. That's Benoit. You're the amazing Star Citizen community. What are you doing with the cameras? Oh my God. Seb. I love you. See you later, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Amazing. That was awesome. Every bit as awesome as I thought it would be. Love those Benoit talks. A lot of good stuff there. Dude, they especially the input stuff, I'm freaking pumped about that. There at the end where him talking about they're working on the ability to send information to peripherals. Like, I can't tell you.
Wait, it's just missing 2 boxes.
I don't know why I'm flying other stuff here, but I cannot tell you how long I have wanted the ability for my peripheral to know the state of something on the ship, right? Like I have this landing gear lever. It would be sweet if the landing gear knew, or the ship knew the state of my landing gear lever, or vice versa, right? There's so many things like that. I have all kinds of switches that, like, you flip them and they remain in a state. It would be amazing if the ship knew the state of that switch. Stuff like that. Like, you can do a lot of hacking to try to get them in sync, but it's never perfect, so that stuff would be cool. The discussion on the population control at the end I thought was spot on. Like, I'm hoping, I hope that we see all of that land simultaneously on Next One, and we finally get, like, a taste of what the future of the universe will feel like. Yeah, right, Just X? Thank you again, Griff, for all the gifted subs, man. Really appreciate that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to touching down on Next One and just feeling like a living, breathing planet. I'm super excited about that. Sounds like for 4.7, we're going to be getting the inventory rework. Sounds like his confidence is pretty high on that. Jared said we have a year and another year and a year after that. So 3 years. That spells out a 2029 release. I'm hoping. What else? I mean, there are a lot of big stuff. Oh, by the way, Space Tomato and I are going to be getting together and doing a podcast in the next day or so. This conversation is going to be a core topic of that podcast. And then whenever that goes live on his channel, I will make a post on my channel. So you'll all see that whenever that goes live. Looking forward to that conversation, catching up with him. Probably getting into a little more than just this, but this will be a big part of it. What else? Am I missing anything? What else was big? Oh, obviously the all the dynamic server meshing and instancing talk I thought was good. A lot of that was just kind of reiterating things that he had already said in the past. Like he didn't spend a whole lot of time talking about how dynamic server meshing would be delivered, but he definitely kind of referenced earlier statements he had made about it being incremental. Like right now they're just working on spin up, spin down of pre-configured areas, and then kind of the next step after that is making those areas dynamic, and so incrementally getting from static to dynamic. We're just kind of getting little pieces at a time. So even the next stage, which sounds just like the dynamic spin up, spin down of pre-configured areas, I think it'll be interesting to see. I hope they release stats whenever they do that, so that we can kind of see how much the server allocation varies over the course of a day. I think that would just be fascinating to see. But in general, I would love to see thanks for the sub, Icon B. Really appreciate that, man. Sorry. Iconic MB. Really appreciate the sub, man. Yeah. Yeah, what I was saying was, in general, it would be really cool to see them put out more kind of like engineering write-ups. I would love to see something like that. There's been some other technology companies that do that kind of thing, where like anytime they solve a cool problem or they do a really cool feature, they'll put out a write-up about how they did it. I would love to see the CIG team do stuff like that. Glad to have caught most stream. Hope you can do a stream this year during the future SCLs. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to try doing more live. If the problem in the past has been I usually are in the middle of the day and my work schedule can interfere, but I got a little bit more flexibility in that schedule now, so I'm going to try to do more of it. Hate to say it, but there's a chance dynamic meshing simply won't work. Nah. There's no chance it doesn't work. Solar. I mean, dynamic is nothing more than static, that the configuration changes dynamically behind the scenes, and static is already working, right? So if static meshing is working, what would prevent dynamic from working? From our perspective, like the game client, there's zero difference between static and dynamic. I should be working, but that's what's up. Hey man. Well, I'm glad you stopped by to say what's up, Pete. Appreciate it, man. Dr. John Doe, hi. Hope you enjoyed the stream. I sure did. Yeah. I think that's all I got for the recap. Yeah, I'll put this out. We can continue in the comments. And again, like I said, podcast coming up with Spaceman. I'll look forward to that. Hopefully, check that out. And I think it's back to the workday for me, unfortunately. I enjoyed this. This was a nice break from the grind. But Gotta go pay them bills. All right. Iconic. Okay, I didn't put that name together at first. Thanks for coming out, guys. Really appreciate it. Can't believe they didn't even touch on org tools. They did touch on org tools. You might have missed it. I forgot to mention that one. That was another huge talking point. Yeah, they talked about the social stuff. It was a little bit of a mixed messaging. I don't know. Sounds like Party Finder is a high priority, and kind of guild chat is like after that. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, take care, all. Really appreciate everybody coming out for the stream. We'll see you soon. Don't forget, I am going to be live streaming again on Saturday. I live stream every Saturday. I'll be doing the podcast tomorrow, live stream Saturday. I'm going to find some time to put out some more long form videos too. I still got the craft win in the works, some other stuff, but yeah, be great to see you all out for the live stream on Saturday. Until then, take care. Grolo out.